Everyone, good evening. Welcome back for Detox. It's May 30th, 2020. All right, just getting everything set up here, and as we get ready to transition into our practice here through the next 10 minutes, there is a lot going on here in Los Angeles and throughout our country, and everything that was going on. It was kind of like pre-pandemic. There was all of these things happening in our lives and in our world, and that we were already being penetrated by and already absorbing and contributing our energy back into. And then the pandemic came along, and we've been in those waves of energy, um, giving and receiving in different ways, and trying to figure this out. It's been very confusing. So that's been the last several months. And now, based on the horrific and recent events that took place in Minneapolis with George Lloyd, we're now experiencing um, what starts out as peaceful protesting. So here in Los Angeles, there was a planned protest just about probably a mile or so away from our home here, at a park called Pan Pacific Park. And unfortunately, the in last night as well, the peaceful protests don't remain that peaceful, for throughout them. So there's a lot going on. We've been sitting here for the last several hours, and it's just been sirens constantly, helicopters. We're not that far away from a police precinct here where we live, and so we're just here to hold space for that peaceful protest. And we all want to express ourselves and share that. But as yogis and as humans, there's practices in place. One of them that comes to mind is called ahimsa, and it's loosely translated as non-harming and non-violence to yourself or to each other. So when things start to go down, it's a slippery slope. But when things start to go down, it's a ripple effect. And we're human beings. We're very susceptible to societal influences and being influenced by what's going on around us. So we're here again to hold the space, for peace. When I mentioned at the beginning of the pandemic, I spoke about the idea of a hurricane. And when there's a hurricane that's out over the ocean, it comes up on the media and it gets going through the news channels, and they start pumping it up in their forecasts. Want it to be this big hurricane. I mean, that's what they do. In reality, nobody wants the big hurricane. Whatever the reason is for doing that, and what the appeal might be to, have a job that promotes that. It's just part of the world that we live in. But nobody wants the big hurricane and the devastation, and ultimately what happens to, not just us as people, to our wildlife, and, to our planet longer term. But everything kind of gets compressed, and this is what I talk about a lot. We get compressed into this center. When your center gets so compressed and it feels inside of yourself like you've literally been pushed into a corner, and now you're ready to fight. Now anything that sets off your nervous system is a quick reaction. It doesn't have any space to develop, into a clear, to a conscious, or into an action that is non-harming or non-violent. So, if you really look at this, we're sitting once again in a combination, to use boxing as an analogy, combination punch of a lot of people have been isolated due to the pandemic. We've been internally pushed into a corner, and then something as horrific and devastating is what happened in Minneapolis with George Floyd. There's no fuse. It's not that the fuse is short. There's no fuse on a lot of people. So necessarily change the actions of others? No, but we can hold space in a very mindful and conscious way, because there are people out there that are like-minded, and we believe in vocalizing in our voice and using that expression and freedom of speech to create change in this world. But when it becomes violent, it's a again, it just feeds on us as humans. It's very easy to spread. So that's where we're at right now. That's what's going on here. I've spoken with family in Chicago. That's what's going on there. Seattle. It's happening in all of the major cities across this country, and it's just not. It's not easy to process. So it would, I guess, be easy to, just engage with that persistent energy that is going to be coming at us all night. And I'd rather, at least spend an hour holding that space. Like I go back to the hurricane, and when they're forecasting it to be this big event, we meditate and we just start breaking down, the most powerful parts of that hurricane until it starts to disband. And this has actually been something I've seen play out in real life. We did a yoga retreat back a couple years ago in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, and we had a really nice time and a great group. And these places become quite special because you've lived and had some experience and awakening in that place. So we left, and the next group was coming in. A day or two after we left, there started to be this hurricane that was building strength out in the ocean, and it was a big hurricane, and it had all of the power to create mass devastation. It was going right towards Puerto Vallarta. So, I just put this practice in play. This isn't something that I'm making up for this instance. This is something that fits into a common thread of things that happen in our world, and it feels a bit more positive to put ourselves into that energy field where, let's throw our stillness into the kind of atmosphere, if you will. I know that's a little fairy dust shit, but put it out there for people that may not have a fuse tonight, to just have the tiniest bit of fuse, which can make the biggest difference, because that then won't influence somebody else to do something that could be, even more and more devastating. So we'll see, and continue to observe and support each other as we've been doing here for, however many days we've been going. Era, good evening. Hope you're well. Emily, Chicago, hope you're doing well. PG, how's it going up in the valley? I hope you're well. Yes, me too, Sherry. I'm glad we are here and we can definitely share the peace. Even when you have a practice, it doesn't mean that it's going to be easy, but our practice literally prepares us for moments to arrive on our mat when things aren't so easy. Andre, Sasha, yeah, very stressful time. Very stressful. It's all back to the unknown, what's gonna happen, how's it gonna play out. And if we look inside, I think we can explore and find meaningful ways to reach out and to care for each other near and far. But we are living. We're always living in history, but we are living in some deep, deep history. I don't think you'll pick it up in the background because I have this mic on, but still the sirens. It's going to be part of our meditation tonight. Pamela, Australia. Hope you're having a good morning. I think it's the start of your day. Hey, Roz. And I thank everybody that again held space this morning. That was a special way to start my day. So I really appreciate all of you. And if you didn't have a chance to connect with the fit practice that we did this morning, it's always out there and you can go back. And I'll remind you that if you have a practice where you felt something and resonated with you, make a little note in your yoga diary, because you could always go back and take that class whenever you'd like to. It's gonna be out there. Stephania, the world is hurting. It really is. It really is. And we're humans that have the capacity to absorb everything that is going on in the world immediately. It doesn't take any time. It's faster than you can snap your fingers to take on the energy of the world. So it's flowing through all of us. And, I think you nailed it with, healing is really what we need to figure out how to process and to move forward with in our hearts. So thank you guys for being here. Hi, Woni. I'm going to go ahead and get the playlist started. We got today and tomorrow on earbuds if you're still using earbuds. But if you want to practice using your Spotify, we're going to go straight from Spotify and we'll just start the playlist on the queue like right now. So whether you're following along with me on earbuds, you're going to pick that up, or on Spotify, go ahead and start your playlist now, please. Take a moment to get your volume set. I hope everybody can hear me okay. And I celebrate all of you that have been, out vocalizing your presence in peace. It's much, I think, more challenging. If you think about, our silly little yoga practice that isn't so silly because it means so much to us, but I'm just saying that, it's an hour here and there in our days, and it's much more challenging to exist in the expansion of the center versus latching on to whatever your mind may be reacting to. And you felt those challenges for sure, sitting in some of these poses and trying to let go or not trying to let go, and really to, exist with the sensations and with your thoughts. So I hope you all have a great practice tonight. And start lying down on your back, please. Hey, cousin. Long time no see. We were just on a Zoom with our family for my mom's birthday. And now we're doing yoga, so let's keep it going. I think this might be class number 134. And the timeliness here, I just lied down and kind of eyes went out the window here, and there's a perfect half moon. And still underneath a blue sky. Take a few breaths. And make any adjustments in your body and your shoulders and your hips if you need to. And we're going to be okay, everyone. We're going to be okay. And every time it may cross your mind, how much can we handle? We can handle everything. but we don't necessarily have to store it and pack it into our body and our energetic field, but we can acknowledge it, notice it, and see it. And our practice is evolving our minds and to make less of an opinion. I mean, what good does it do to debate the rightness or the entitlement, or simply observe and see where you are, acknowledging where others are, neither elevating nor descending. This becomes the practice of equality and oneness. It might feel good to shake your jaw out, slide your jaw side to side a couple times. And relax the tongue, relax the breath, and then go ahead and settle in stillness. And when one being hurts, we all hurt. And that's what's happening as you're opening up into the sensitivity in the portal of your being. Right? If you truly start to travel that path of oneness, I guess the easiest way to describe it is we practice tonight, and so that we don't feel like we are shoved into a corner. And perhaps the lengthening of the fuse, and you'll have a little bit more and to give to somebody else that may need it. And start to take your arms over your head. Yawn, open your mouth. Stretch through your arms and through your legs. And keep your arms over your head. Bend your legs. Bring your feet flat. And then you can let your arms get heavy. Bend at the elbows. And keep the soles of your feet flat. And you might soften your chin in a little bit and then let your belly come back down towards the ground. So your low back is pretty flat. And feel free to close your eyes. Notice if you're gripping or clenching the feet and the toes. And softness, expansion through the soles of your feet. And let your hips be heavy, and so that you can feel your hip flexors softening and getting shorter here. hopefully you're riding some gentle waves as you observe your breath and you experience in the mindfulness meditation, and by observing the breath and the air as it comes into your body and it goes out. And put a little weight into your feet and to lift your hips an inch. Slide them over to the right and so that we can roll onto our left side. And use your right hand to come all the way up to all fours, please. If you have an extra pillow or a blanket, you can always put it underneath your back knee. Step your right foot forward. You can crawl your right toes so you move your right foot, or slide your left knee back. And again, if you need to double pad, use the mat, use a blanket, use a pillow underneath your left knee. And sometimes it's nice to get straight to the point. Like, why beat around the surface? Get straight to the point. Feel what you're feeling in your body. You'll find the sensation with your mind. And so one hand on each side of your front foot. And the weight of your torso comes down into your thigh. And soften your chin in. And coming into the first side of our low lunge. And I don't always go down the road of personal beliefs, but on a day like today, in theory, I believe that everything that is a reflection of who we are. So who we are as a collective, and what is happening right now is a reflection upon all of us. And that's based on the essence that we're all connected. If you don't believe that we're all connected, then I understand that might be confusing, but if you can get down with oneness, and not just when things are going good, but when we face some of these intense and really big challenges in our world, then maybe that makes some sense to you. And certainly you can be feeling this in your top of the shoulders and your neck, and some of that achiness that comes in the compression of the spine in a forward fold. Let it ache. You're good. Let it ache. pretty interesting to know, how many people in the world are meditating or practicing yoga in some form, in some fashion right now. How many people in the entire world are participating in a practice right now? And keep everything really heavy here. You can take a deeper breath and then sigh to get even heavier. And we'll stay for about 1 more minute on this side. And expanding the center, everybody. Go nice and slowly. Use your arms. And begin to slide your hips back. And slide your right leg behind you. And let's come down onto our bellies, lying flat. And we're going to tuck the arms by our sides like little grasshopper arms. And so you're on your forearms. And then they're by your sides, and so that you can come straight down onto your chin or tuck your chin and let your forehead come down to rest. And feel the weight in the tops of your feet. And feel the rebound here. And begin to hover your forehead off the ground. And use your elbows and your forearms and draw your belly to start to lift your hips back up. And make your way back to your hands, so we're in a tabletop. And close your eyes. Take 3 deep breaths here. Let the exhales come out of your mouth, please. step your left foot in between your hands. We'll set up the other side. No expectation of this side being even remotely the same as the first side. Crawl your toes forward. Slide your right knee back. Double pad, triple pad, pad, whatever feels good so that you're not, stressed and mind focused on that right knee. Frame your foot and then begin the process of letting your hips get heavy. And torso, chest, forehead, all of it can begin and to go with the flow of gravity. Little to less until ultimately one day, no resistance holding the body up against gravity. You're releasing your muscles that much. Yeah, I know this sounds crazy, but what if everybody just needs a hug, and that hug symbolizes that, and there's an understanding that I support you and that you support me, that you are cared for, and the vastness of the amount of insecurity that must be going through all beings right now is profound, unprecedented. And as you can see, it doesn't automatically wake us up at the same time. We all wake up when we're supposed to wake up. When something is meant to become clear. And so your process of awakening has to be closely connected to a process of patience, non-judgment, and constant invitation, openness.
to feel sometimes the agony of the bow, the sensations, the aches in the body. Doing it and so that we can spread and expand our center upon its release. And let's take one deep breath in here. As you exhale out of your mouth, fall even heavier. And we'll stay for about one more minute, please. In slow motion, all the sensations, all the feelings, all the messages to your mind. And start to lift your head. And begin to slide your hips back. And bring your left foot back behind you. And we'll feel the rebound on our belly. And so come down onto your forearms. We're going to make those little grasshopper arms. And so your chest is in between your wrists. And legs can release, tuck the chin, and let your forehead come straight down onto your mat, please. And feel your forearms begin to hover your head. Always nice feeling that flow as you come out of the rebound. Draw your belly in to lift your hips up. You're welcome to keep your eyes closed. Come back up onto your hands in a tabletop. You feel your breath wherever it wants to go, and you're welcome to move your tabletop around a little bit, hips side to side. And bring your hips back to center. And you rock off onto your left hip, and your legs can stay slightly bent. You set your left arm, and so that your palm is flat and your arm is straight, and say it's about a foot or 10 inches or so further out than your shoulder. And once you get there, we're just going to let the left side body slide down towards the ground. So it's actually in creating that half moon shape with your left side body. And the shoulder is going to hike up. And take your right hand in between your knees. And all we got to do is sit here in our outer hip and let the chin rest in towards your chest. And first thing, start to bring your chin back up. And you support yourself with your left hand, drawing your left ribs back in slightly. So that's going to drop your shoulder down. And then take your right knee and slide it behind your left heel. And so we're going to rest in the weight of the right leg and the weight of the outer left hip. And then twist. And your hands can slide out. As you rotate around, putting your elbows on the ground. And you're welcome to stack your palms and find a place for your forehead to rest. And so your legs are in this bit of a funky position, and we're heavy through the outer thigh, and then rotating with length, and eventually then and softening wherever you feel it. And find the place you're going to be, and your willingness and your openness, and to practice stillness. And you might even notice your fuses and getting longer, with more patience, with more mental clarity and connection. Take a breath, acknowledge all the space in your left side as we start to lift the head. And firm up to your right hand, press up to your left hand. And we're just going to turn the chest and so it faces the back of your mat, and scoot your bum over towards the middle of your mat. And go ahead and lie down onto your back for this rebound. Hey, the more rebounds in our life, the longer the fuse, the more open the center. And the more moments you'll have with the release, and then you may notice the preparedness and observation through your mind. And you get all that other stuff along the way. You get a nice six-pack, and you feel calmer and you're less reactive. Your physical health is better, your mental health is better. You get all that stuff along the way. But this expansion of your center is really a beautiful thing. And without rushing it, and take the deepest and the most drawn breath and that you've taken all night or all morning. And let your eyes open. And you still got this perfect half moon out the window. And bend your legs so that the soles of your feet are flat. And then let's go ahead and roll on to our right side. And come up onto your right palm. And then situate your outer hip towards the middle of your mat. Use your right arm as a kickstand. So the arm is straight and the hand's about 10 to 12 inches further forward than your shoulder. Legs are bent, and then your right ribs, let them slide out towards the ground, so you're creating that half moon. And that'll hike your right shoulder up, and then take your left hand, put it in between your knees. Soften your chin, observe these breaths, and feel the waves. First, go ahead and feel your chin start to come back up. And then your right ribs slide towards the center of your body. And your shoulder goes down. Slide your left hand out, start to bring it forward. And then you can stagger that left knee behind your right foot. And behind your heel. And the outer right thigh stays heavy. Broaden your elbows wide. And to make it a bigger twist, and stack your palms and then find a place and let your forehead come down and rest. Gently begin to bring your forehead back up from the rest into your elbows and back to your left palm and back up to your right palm. And turning ourselves once again onto our bum. You feel this twist release, and then please go ahead and lie down. Feel the rebound on your back. And if you would, please observe and notice the state of your being. And now, having been in this mindful state of observation, openness, a release, a sometimes comfort, and sometimes concern. And see, sometimes people have a hard time understanding that one person and can really make a difference. But that's the only way a difference can be made is one person at a time. And so I guess starting with ourselves seems like a good way to go. And go ahead and take a nice deep breath in. A little sigh, exhale. Bring the soles of your feet together. And let your inner thighs balance themselves out. And the knees fall heavy. And we have resources, we have tools, we have reminders that exist, and because inevitably we will forget. We'll forget about the space, and something will come and compress. It could be as simple as noticing the half moon in the sky. All right, space holders, go ahead and release your legs long. Feel good where they are. If you'd rather rest your hands onto your belly, and you can do that. Any adjustments in your shoulders. If you need to reset your head, or if you wanted to cover your eyes with a towel or an eye mask or a weighted eye cushion, it feels amazing. I don't have one, but maybe you do. And relax all the muscles on your face tonight.
if you need a reminder of this practice tonight, you could go on Spotify and in the search field type Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. And it's a phrase in Sanskrit that means and translates as may all beings experience peace. And so you could even lie in your Shavasana here and continue to repeat that phrase. It's something that can sit as a layer of your consciousness as you move through the uncertainty and the challenges in the world that we live in, the world that we absorb, the world that we love, and the world that sometimes can be incredibly confusing. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. May all beings experience peace. Yeah, thank you all from the bottom of my heart for being on your mat tonight. And I bet you're one of very few across the spectrum of 8 billion people. I'm curious to know, but I bet you're one of very few and that are sitting in a practice in this moment. And we do it for oneness, we do it for equality, we do it to lift those that feel suppressed in the corner, we do it for ourselves. We do it together. Have a great night, everybody. Be safe out there. Be very mindful. And I'll see you in the morning for our flow practice on a Sunday. Namaste.